What is up, guys, and welcome back to a new episode here with some Pod Limit Omaha content, jumping straight into the action, playing two tables of PLO 50 Rush and Cash on GG Poker. If you guys like this content, make sure to give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and also check out PLOmastermind.com if you want to learn more about Pod Limit Omaha, not only from myself, but also from other PLO players. Table number 2, flop goes check, check. On this turn, I'm gonna take a step. We don't have any showdown value yet, and we pick up some equity. And that is very often a signal that on the turn and or on the river, you can take a more aggressive approach there and try to take it down. That's what we do, and my opponent makes the fold. I'm gonna fold on table number 2, 9876 mono. This will just be a fold right away. Let's see if we can pick up some interesting spots in this session, guys. On table number 1, I'm going to start off with a check. This is a quite dynamic, connected board. Usually a good board for the caller, especially if this player is a little bit tighter, which he seems to be. And against a pot size bet, I'm just going to let it go. Table number 2. We flop middle pair and 1 diamond blocker. Somewhat close, I think, whether to bet or check. I think checking is, I think I like to check, actually. Because I have not that much equity and my blockers are not super great. But on this turn, I will definitely go ahead and bet. We improve. We have additional equity. My opponent's now checked twice. So let's try to take it down or get called by a hand that we are ahead, of course, and deny some equity. River is the queen. That is interesting. All the draws missed. We have king jack. It's tempting to bluff, but I think I will take my check here because I believe the jack has enough showdown value. And we do win against ace 10 8-8. Ace 10 8-8 with the nut flush draw. We take down the pot. Table number 2. Easy fold in the big blind against any aggression. Too weak of a hand. 9873 single. Just gonna let it go. Even against the min raise and a call, this is just too weak of a hand. Just let it go, guys. Let it go. Table number 1. It is tempting. Single suited rundown. 1 gap only. I'm gonna go for it. We have a few more tight players on my left. The big blind is a little bit looser. No surprise, he makes the call. And I flop a pair, a gutter, and a diamond blocker. This is somewhat close between bet and check. I would say, I think I'm gonna go for a check. Let's take a second to open up PLO Trainer and take a look into this flop decision. I was a little bit unsure in game whether betting or checking is the play. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to post flop and search for the exact same scenario, which is middle position against the big blind in a single raised pot at 100 big blinds. What I'm going to do is I'm going to find 9-7 deuce, which is the flop. Now in PLO Trainer, we don't have 9-7 deuce for this exact situation, but here you can see similar flops that are very close. And I'm going to pick one of them, which I believe works best. I'm actually going to pick 10-7 deuce because the deuce is actually disconnected from the other 2 side cards in reality, and therefore I don't want the 3, which is a lot more connected to the 7. So let's go to middle position and find a similar hand. First of all, on 10-7 deuce, we are supposed to bet 51.9% of the time. In other words, we're checking back fairly often on this flop texture. I was holding 8-7-5-4 in reality. In other words, middle pair, a gutter, and 1 flush draw blocker. So let's find a similar hand. On this board, that would be something like 8-7-6-4. We have middle pair and a non-nut gutter. That is pretty much a similar hand. Now, I didn't have a flush draw, but a flush draw blocker. So I'm going to go for 1 spade without 2 spades. And with that combination, we can actually see that we are supposed to bet 70.7% of the time. Now, if I also remove the backdoor flush draw from the hand, but include one diamond, this exact hand simply is betting 82% of the time. So in other words, my hand, which I check back in reality, is actually supposed to be a bet in game. We don't have that much value in checking back or benefit to it, while at the same time we can deny equity against overcards. We can put weak over pairs also in a tough spot without backup. So betting in order then to bet fold if we get check raised is the right play. And on the 5, we are definitely calling. We're definitely calling. Is this a potential raise? Probably not, the board being so dynamic. We got 7-5 with a straight blocker. Like sizing wise, it feels to me that my opponent has like a better 2-pair hand, but I'm gonna look him up. And we win. A 9 with 3 diamonds. I don't like the sizings that he's using there. Doesn't make too much sense. If he wants to bet, then I would say bet bigger. You want to put more pressure on better 1-pair hands, basically, that you want to make fold. That is a decent flop on table number 2. Flopping the nuts. We got a bet. There. Table number 1, we're limping in. Do we want to raise or do we want to call? I think I'm just going to call on table number 2. Table number 1, we are going to make the call. We are in position. Look at this. This guy check raises. This is very interesting. Let's just call. Ooh, what a beautiful turn. And on table number 1, our opponents check to me. We have 2-pair and a straight. We're just going to check a straight draw. Okay, the money here will go in. Jack 8. My opponent has 8-7. What a beautiful turn. Guys. Table number 1. We got 2-pair. We got the nut flush draw. King is good. I think we have to make the call. I'm not sure. Ace, king. 30% against a pot size bet. Let's hit. Let's see if we can hit, guys. That's a pretty good river. Let's do it. Building right away some stacks, guys. That's a good start. Rivering a boat. Table number 2, ace, king, 8-4. Probably, might be a fold. I'm gonna let this one go. Ace, king, 8-4, triple suited on the button. Let's take a brief look whether this pre-flop decision was actually correct. If we have the decision to open raise, ace, king, 8-4, if I filter for it, we can see all these variations are supposed to be a raise. By the way, guys, a simple heuristic on the button for you can be that at 100 big blinds, you can just open raise every ace king variation. As you can see, 99.4% of the time you can raise it up. So simplifying this is totally fine. So we open, the small blind makes the 3-bet. Now let's take a look whether ace king 8-4 triple is actually a call or a fold. The way I like to do this is to open up the categories on the top right and find the hand class where my hand belongs into, which is unpaired single suited. This is also the hand class that has the most hands in there, 44.1%. So I'm opening this up. I have a hand which is suited to the ace. So we can right away see that most of the time we are supposed to call 85%. And if I open up this hand class further, we don't have a connected Broadway hand. We also don't have a connected non-Broadway hand. We have a disconnected 2-card Broadway hand, 8.18%. And this is a hand class that we fold the most often, 26%. So I'm filtering for this one. And then we try to understand what it is that we can learn. First up, the calling range. You can see hands with decent connectivity, but also especially 2 suits in there. Now, if I have a variation that is triple suited, so 3 of the same suits, we can learn from this that we are supposed to fold 63.8%. So the triple suited variation is a lot worse if we compare this to just single suited, which is only folding 6.6%. Let's go back to triple suited, which are the variations that we can call. Ace king 5-4 is a hand, ace queen 5-3, ace 10 5-4. So hands with decent connectivity between all the cards. Ace king 7-6. And that, I think, already tells us something about ace king 8-4 triple, where folding is the correct play. Let's take a brief look into the EV difference, which is about 0.3 to 0.4 big blinds. In other words, 30 to 40 big blinds per 100. So folding here is significantly better than continuing. Table number 1, pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. I'm gonna go for it, actually. I do believe that the in-position player will very often bet the flop with a flush draw because he is so shallow and will just stack off. Now, the small blind does make the call. Small blind does make the call. We gotta go for it now. Gotta go for it. We do get called, unfortunately. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Maybe a little bit loose, but I would have, like, the reason I go for the bet here is because this player does check the turn. So if we go back to the hand, which is this one, this player with the second nut flush, he does check the turn, and I didn't expect that. So, I mean, in a sense, that was well played by him because he does pick up a bluff. Table number 2, we turn a pair and a gutter. Let's see. Let's hope this player checks so we can realize our equity. River is the 6. River is the 6. Can we win with a 10? We do have the 9, which is kind of nice. I'm actually gonna bluff this one. Table number 1, we flop a gutter. We're gonna check, and we do take it down on table number 2. Turning top pair, not gutter. We also have a low gutter. This seems to be a bet. To me, we could even consider checking to check raise, although I think betting is better. River 8. We will check ace queen. Ace queen. We do have the ace of hearts, which is not that great. Blocking some of my opponent's bluffs. We do have the 10. We do have the 10. I mean, I'm gonna fold. I'm gonna fold. It's close. It's close. You will have some king 10. You will definitely have some 10-9 there. Without the ace of hearts, I might just call there. I might call. And king jack 7-6 triple. Gonna open. It's a little bit loose. Let's see if we can find some reads. Look at this guy. 5% 3-bet after 3,500 hands. Pretty tight player. This is just the standard fold. Now king, queen, queen, deuce, triple. We are very deep. But we don't have position, being that we're not on the button. So I'm just gonna let it go. In these more higher raked games, being a bit tighter with your calling ranges usually works out pretty well. Easy fold on the left. Ace 8-7-3 triple. Very weak hand, of course. This is also a tight player. Let's see. Ace king 9-3. Do have the nut suit. I'm gonna call. I'm gonna make the call. Start with a check. We flop the nut flush draw. In table number 1, we open raise 9-8-7-6. We flop bottom pair. This is very surprising. A pot size lead out of position. I'm gonna just fold it. And I will go ahead and check call. What a nice turn. What a nice turn. The question is, I'm gonna bet on table number 1. Damn it, we get check raised. We do get check raised. Gonna lead out there. Table number 1, we have to make the call. I think we're just gonna see too many checkbacks on table number 2 that I do wanna make a lead. And table number 1, I'm gonna bet half pot. And pot size bet on the river. That's a good run out, table number 1. My opponent check raises. He could have the king high flush even. He could have king king with a diamond. He could just have bear king king. We're gonna bet, and there we go. Look at this. He just check calls me down with... Wow, he check raises the bear open-ender with 1 diamond. That is pretty loose. And we do get called on table number 2. Very nice. Let's go. We do win that one. And those are hands that I believe my opponent will check back. The 10 high flush, for example. Very deep here, very deep. Just gonna call this one. This will be a 3-bet. Check table number 1. Whenever you get deeper, especially out of position, you are usually tightening up with your 3-betting range because the positional disadvantage post-flop gets larger. So you want to be a bit more selective. Well, if you're in position, you can 3-bet actually wider when you get deeper because your positional advantage post-flop is larger. Just gonna check. And let's see what's going to happen. So it went check, check, flop, check, check, turn. And now on the river, check, check again. Wow, so the small blind checks the flop, checks the turn with the nuts. Okay. And table number 2, ace king king 4, ace king king 4. Not sure, to be honest, about this situation. This player seems to be... Is this a situation? There's so much money in the middle. I'm not sure about table number 2, but I do think that we're gonna go for it. Oh my god. Let's see. Does he have aces? Damn it. Of course he has aces. I wonder if this is correct, actually. We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out. Let's give me some spades. Spades. Come on. No. They always have aces. They always have aces. I do want to take a moment to analyze this scenario because it's a big pot and I do want to learn from it. So middle position, I open ace king king 4, very standard. The button makes the call and the small blind makes the call. And at this point, the big blind does come in for a squeeze. The big blind is supposed to squeeze 5.7%. Now keep in mind that in this lineup, the calling ranges of the button and the small blind are quite tight. And it's very likely that in reality, people play more hands there, including my opponents. So against the squeeze, what is my response supposed to be? Well, first up, we are supposed to fold over 50% of the time, which is very often. So a lot of folding. And secondly, what is my raising range looking like? Obviously, aces are getting it in pre-flop. But what if I have ace king king? I'm gonna get it in myself in this hand with ace king king 4 single suited. But if I start off with the double suited ace king king variations, all those are strong enough to get it in. We can see that here. But if we change this to ace king king single suited, actually all of these variations are basically going to be a call, except for the weakest ones on the left who are supposed to be a fold. In other words, it looks like that my pre-flop play was a little bit too aggressive. If I filter for specifically ace king king 4, And then also filter for suited ace hands, which are these two. Focus on the EV difference, which is actually close to 2 big blinds. In other words, 200 big blinds per 100, which is a significant difference between calling and 4-betting. So it looks like that my pre-flop play was a little bit too aggressive, and I should have just called pre-flop instead of getting the money in. Table number 1, I 3-bet, get called. Turn goes check, check, flop goes check, check. Check, check. River as well. We do block 10-7 on the river, which definitely helps. Gonna check. Feels like a value bet is a bit too loose. King jack 8-7. I mean, might be a hand to bluff at some point. Like having the 8 on the river, you don't have that much showdown value against my 3-betting range. I do think maybe on the river even betting is reasonable. Easy fold. Also on table number 1, making the fold. So we do have some funny hands so far in this session. Ace king 5-4. Double suited. Let's see, this might get interesting. We do face an open. I mean, I'm definitely gonna call. Question is, no, I'm just gonna call. That's not a good flop, unfortunately. Only having bottom pair, but we might see a check back. Not a board my opponent will bet that often. Turn 2 pair, check. Check, check. There is the ack in my face. To rock, what are you gonna do? Bet 12.8. We have 2 pair. We're gonna make the call. It's a good card for his range, so he can bet a bunch of hands. Check there. And check, check. Does he have ace queen? Ace 7. Damn it. Oh my god. That's unfortunate. Table number 2. In the meantime, we flop the nuts. Start with a bet. Betting on the turn. That is a very clean run out. We do have a lot of clubs, so it's unlikely that my opponent has clubs as well. You could have like a set with a club blocker, 2 pair with a club blocker. He does make the fold. Ace 10-7-4 will be a steal on the left side. And flop a double gutter. Just gonna check this one back. And I will defend on table number 1 or table number 2. I'm gonna bet on table number 1 now. And take a stab on table number 2 with my 4. Not that much showdown value. Not that much value in checking back, really. Let's just try to take it down immediately. King Jack 8-7. Let's just fold. Let's make the correct play there. Feels tempting to call, for sure. Ace King Jack 6 will be an open raise on the button against the limper. That's a pretty good flop. Top pair, not flush, draw, not gutter. I'm gonna bet half pot. Try to get Or try to keep the weaker flush draws in, the weaker ace X hands, weaker straight draws. And we do take it down. 9-8-6-4 single, easy fold. This is also gonna be a fold. Then 9-8-5 double in the big blind. Let's see. I will defend against a single raise, but against a 3-bet, my hand is a bit too disconnected. Or, I mean, it's just not that strong against a raise and a 3-bet anymore. Table number 1. I'm gonna fold with the short stack on the button, who plays a lot of hands. And we do face a squeeze. Table number. This is a very interesting. Gonna make the call. Ah, damn it. Damn it. Complete miss. Complete. Ooh, he checks. So complete miss. We will check now. We will have to check. Looking for a good turn. I mean, that's reasonable. Pair and a rep now. Unfortunately, no diamonds. Unfortunately, no diamonds. He checks. I'm gonna get it in. Gonna get it in. Try to push him out. Let's see if we don't. Oh, nice. 67.5%. 67.5%. It's not too bad. Unfortunately, he rivers 2 pair. Oh, a straight, actually. He rivers a straight ace-3. It is what it is. Is king jack 6. This is usually not an open, but we do have like 3 tight players on my left, which all snap fold. And therefore we can get away with a raise, I think. And we flop the nuts on table number 1, starting off with a very small bet. We do get called. And at this point, we want to start polarizing, betting larger, repping the nut flush or the nut flush blocker. If I bet like 12, 13, I can pretty much shove the river, which is the goal, to get all the money into the middle over 3 streets. Pretty nice turn. Ooh, that is a very clean run out. Very clean run out. Table number 2, we check. Small blind against big blind with 2 wheel cards. Usually not that great for the initial raiser. And we're gonna bet table number 1. 3 diamonds. That might actually be a pretty good card for me, in the sense that I might get called more often. His flush increases in value, and his bluff catchers in a way also, because it's less likely I have the nut flush at this point. This will be a fold on table number 2. And ace queen 9-8 single is also a fold, even though it's a reasonable hand. Like, we have 2 very wide players on my left. Let's see. In the tank, Stargazer. He is in the tank. Can he find the call, guys? Can he find the call? It would be nice. But he might think, well, am I bluffing enough with 4 diamonds on the board? Yeah, there we go. Beautiful. Beautiful. We win a nice pot against the second nut flush. And that's gonna be it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. If you do so, make sure to give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, guys, and check out PLOmastermind.com if you want to learn more about pot limit Omaha. Guys, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.